What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to a very special discussion with the PS Best Friends featuring YouTube's very own GameOverJesse. Jesse McCartney, what's going on, man?
Hi, glad to be here. It's the first podcast that I've been on in a while. Typically, I've been on a lot of friends' podcasts, but I know I reached out to you guys quite a while ago to be on, and finally able to do it. So happy to be here.
Thank you for being here with us. So just for the listeners, because this is going to go up on our channel as well as yours.
Yes.
The PS Best Friends podcast, it's myself, Anthony. We got Jeffrey underneath me. Well, actually, I don't know how the video is going to line up on his end. But there's Jeffrey and then Miguel. So we're a PlayStation podcast. We were inspired heavily by Kinda Funny's PS I Love You podcast, which used to be with Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty. And then we kind of evolved it, into our own thing over time. So we pretty much mostly talk about PlayStation. We'll dabble with, Nintendo and Xbox a little bit. But, we're a majority PlayStation podcast. And I think the reason kind of both of us wanted to get with, you and us is that you're, a Nintendo guy.
Yeah.
And so I thought it would be fun to do kind of a year in review of both Sony and Nintendo because they both had huge years this year.
Yeah. So, well, first, so Jesse, introduced yourself to.
Similar to you guys, I was inspired by Greg and the people at Kinda Funny. Even my YouTube name, GameOverJesse, obviously, you can kind of see Game Over Greggy, the inspiration there. And I was looking for a username for my channel, and I was trying to think of what was inspiring me to start my channel, and then a username that people could see what it was and automatically assume what the channel would be about, because if you see something that's like just a random name, then you won't necessarily know what the channel is about. So I thought it was a good way to pay tribute, or however you want to say it, to Greg Miller, which I was lucky enough to actually have on my channel when it first started, and he gave it his approval and everything. So for the people, it's like, oh, he stole Game Over Greggy's name. No.
That's awesome.
I
didn't know that. That's dope.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I bet Greg, Kinda Funny, would love that. They have inspired two different channels or brands or whatever, and that they're
we were talking before we started recording how you seem the stuff you do.
Collaborating.
My hamster in the background. So your channel, you said you're more similar to the Gamescast, where you guys do the major topics, and our podcast is obviously more influenced by PS I Love You. So that's kind of cool that we kind of our podcast and you kind of getting together, both influenced by kind of.
Yeah, and that was the main reason that I reached out to you guys originally, was because I seen you all posting. I think it was in the Kinda Funny Facebook group, and I was like, oh, another Kinda Funny best friends have their own.
Yeah, our name also heavily influenced by Kinda Funny.
It's funny how we tried to get approval from them, naming the podcast. What was it? PS.
We were gonna do PS We Love You originally,
and they shut that down really quick.
Because then they announced a couple months later that they were using it.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks later.
I think it was a charity thing or something like that. So.
See, I was lucky enough to get Greg on my channel. It was before. Okay, I first asked him before anybody knew about the Kinda Funny guys leaving IGN. So there was that weird week or two hiatus that they were talking about, where they were still working there, but everybody knew they were going to be leaving. So he had a little moment of about a week to where he went on as many podcasts as he could to announce everybody quitting IGN and stuff. And I was lucky enough for him to come on because I had asked him prior to whenever they left. And so I think I just got lucky when asking him. And then
that's awesome. Yeah, I know he stopped doing that for a while. After that, where he's he doesn't have enough time to do podcasts anymore.
They do a lot of crazy
I seen on their Patreon, it was a month after I had him on, he or they updated something to where it's if you paid or donated at a certain tier on Patreon, you could either come out and be on the show or have him or one of the other guys on your show. And I was looking at it, and I was like, I got extremely lucky. Otherwise, I would have had to pay $200 or however much it was. So,
and just real quick, just a side note: swearing or no swearing for your channel?
I usually don't. Just to
okay. We'll try and keep it down then, because we do swear.
Yeah.
But being Nintendo content, I can. That's why I asked, because I know Nintendo's generally
it's actually
more
if you become a brand ambassador for Nintendo, to where they send you out the games and stuff, one of their requirements is like on the reviews, you can't say any bad words because they want it to be PG. But this isn't one of those. It's just I think it's like their policy on YouTube and everything's weird because they're like super strict, but
because still got friend codes,
family friendly.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, it's all good. So we'll just try and tone it down also. So let's get into it.
Interesting discussion for some time. But yeah, let's do the year in review for both PlayStation and Nintendo. So what I have here is kind of just like a very basic guide for us for what we're going to be talking about.
Okay, first, I do gotta say that we all own the Switch, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we all have Switches. We all have. Do we all have Wii U's? Because that's how the year starts.
Not anymore.
I owned it.
The Switch is the reason I don't have a Wii U anymore.
All right, so we all owned a Wii U's. I still own mine.
I do have a 3DS.
Still has his.
Yeah. I do own mine as well.
And of course, we all own PlayStations. But yeah, so the beginning of the year started off on the tails of a couple things. PS4 Pro just came out. PSVR came out, and in December, Nintendo announced that they were going to have that they're having a Switch event in January. Got us all real hyped up. So January we started off with a lot of big Japanese games for PlayStation. We got Gravity Rush 2, Tales of Berseria, Yakuza 0, Resident Evil 7, and this is all while there were literally no Wii U games coming out. And the only two 3DS games we had were Dragon Quest 8 and Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World. And then we also had the Hitman remake, and so that was January. We could go past that, but what do you guys think? Just starting off out of the gate, PlayStation coming out with, here are some of the best Japanese games.
I'm going to point out a January game you didn't say, at least I don't think you said, which was Resident Evil 7.
He said it.
Oh, you did say Resident Evil 7?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. I remember Yakuza and all that. So, Resident Evil 7 is in my top 5 for the year, and it might be higher up than you guys would think. So that game alone for January started the year off right for me. What do you guys think?
For me personally, I like Resident Evil 7's on towards the top of my list, specifically because it seems like one of the only games that did VR right. And it's not even a game built for VR specifically. You can play it on PC or whatever without having the VR unit, but the VR unit matches perfectly with it, which I think is a great achievement for Capcom, because a lot of the games that are built specifically for VR still don't get it right. And this game was like half and half.
And it was great because it was really the first major AAA game that supported PSVR. And I actually didn't get a PSVR until a lot later in the year, so I didn't have Resident Evil 7 anymore. I think I traded it in towards Horizon Zero Dawn. Regretfully, I wish I kept it. But so I have a PSVR now. I got it halfway through the year, I think, and I borrowed my friend Henry's copy. And so I didn't actually even try it in VR until very recently, and it kind of gave the game a whole new reason to play through it. And it's I couldn't believe how awesome it was in VR. So that's cool. Do you have a PSVR?
I don't. I've played it, but I don't personally own one. Okay. I was actually meaning to buy one this holiday season while they were all on sale, but didn't get the opportunity.
Yeah, and that's an interesting title just because it's been a year now and it has not come to another platform, which we've seen most PSVR games.
Give it a month.
Or any
January is probably when the
it's right when the exclusivity is done. Yeah, so that was PlayStation's January. Nintendo, nowhere to be seen. February, walking into... we're continuing that trend of Japanese games, even bringing in some multi-platform hits. So you have Neo, For Honor.
For Honor was February. Wow, I thought it was March for some reason.
Maybe I had Halo Wars 2 on Xbox. That's pretty cool. Horizon, of course. Horizon coming out February 28th. An interesting.
Oh my God! It came out the last.
Stop there.
Hey, here we go.
Horizon hit, right, and I think everyone was just loving it and forgot about Zelda until it actually hit, and then everything's just switched from Horizon in a split second to Zelda. I think that's really funny how that happened.
I mean, what I was seeing also was, and even me personally, was people not buying Horizon because they had to save up money. Because like normally you wouldn't see people like not buying a game to save up money, but like in the case of having to buy a console, yeah, that's gonna stop a game purchase.
So what do we? So Zelda. What was the exact date for Zelda? Was it like March 8th?
March 3rd.
March 3rd.
So then,
because they do February releases.
Then right after February,
Friday,
we had March, one of the craziest months ever for gaming. For like, because it was when you think about the Switch's launch. Now
we had a console launch in March. That alone is awesome.
Yeah,
it's usually later in the year, or it's usually like at the tail end of the summer. So a console launch alone in March was cool, and then the Switch turned out to be awesome. So, because I was very hesitant. I was like, I don't know if I should get it. Maybe I should wait until Mario Odyssey. And then my best friend got one, and I was like, I want one.
Because remember, there was only 4 retail games that came out. We had Zelda, Bomberman 1, 2, and Just Dance.
Yeah, because ARMS wasn't out yet. Mario Kart wasn't out yet. We looked back, and we're like, yeah, those games definitely came out at launch, and they didn't. So
yeah. Wasn't there the Street Fighter game that came out?
That came out, I think, a little later.
Yeah, because I remember that came out right around when my friend Henry from work got his Switch.
That came out this summer. But, yeah, unprecedented, really, seeing a console launch with such light content and light on, like, quantity,
amount
but in quality, ridiculous.
Yeah.
So what do we think? So, okay, so I'm just going to say it right now. On our podcast, we've had a bunch of discussions, more just kind of yelling at each other because we're uncivilized.
It's impossible. You can't.
Of us saying whether or not Horizon Zero Dawn or Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is the game of the year. And so Miguel is hardcore Horizon. Jeffrey is hardcore Zelda. I fall on the Horizon side but see the argument for Zelda. So I'm going to just go ahead and guess that you're going to say that Zelda is the game of the year over Horizon.
Yeah. With Horizon, I usually joke around, as I guess many people do, that it's the best Zelda game on the PlayStation 4. Because
that's good. I never even thought about that. That's
yeah, like in both games, he plays the hero who uses the bow and arrow. There's giant mechanical beasts like walking around the world, and it's a giant open world game. So there's a lot of similarities there. So whenever my little brother, I was trying to show him Horizon, and he was asking what it was about, and then I was like, it's basically Zelda with an adult female instead of Link. And yeah.
Funny thing, every time until like probably like a couple years ago, I always thought Zelda was Link for whatever reason.
Oh no. Oh no.
I always
I didn't
thought
know
that,
this.
dude.
The thing is, I never had that because
I hear everyone talking like Link, like you play as Link. I'm like, so who's Zelda?
I never had that because my exposure initially, because I'm much younger than all y'all, was Smash Bros. So it's like, it says Link right there. Why would it be anything else?
Another hot take, real quick. A better Zelda on the PS4, Oceanhorn.
Well, that's just a Zelda ripoff.
It's a different Zelda.
That's
it's
not
better.
Even. That's. I couldn't believe they didn't get sued when that game originally came out on iOS. But anyways, just to digress.
By the way,
a little
the
bit.
comparison's definitely there. They both have their strengths and weaknesses. But you know, it's crazy how they came out 5 days. I don't think
it's so awesome that we got.
Has that
those
ever
two
happened?
Great
Where
games
two
right next to
different
each other.
exclusives were the same game. You know,
I'm
like
sure
for different
has,
consoles.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has probably.
The closest thing I could think would be like a Resistance versus Halo, maybe.
And that's not even. I don't.
And
think
they didn't come out at the same time
because
Resistance was 6 and 8. Yeah.
I got a question for you, Jesse.
Oh yeah.
Oh, go ahead, and
I was gonna say the only thing that I can really remember is like if Forza comes out on the same day as like Need for Speed or Gran Turismo, or back when Skyward Sword for the Wii came out, around that same time Skyrim came out for all of the other systems.
Oh, that's a good one.
And there was a lot of people comparing Skyrim with Skyward Sword, and there was even the thing where they both start with Sky. So.
Yeah, I totally forgot that Skyward Sword did come out right around then. Wow, 2011 was so long ago.
But that was such a Miguel. You had something else?
Yeah. What do you like about Zelda? Like what grabs you from it?
It's
What puts you in?
There's so many different answers I could give you. The first one would be, it was just A Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo was the first video game that I remember playing when I was like 3 years old or however old I was. And then when Ocarina of Time came out, that was when I got my Nintendo 64. It was one of the few games that I would come home from school and play every single day. So I just got attached to the world. And then when Majora's Mask came out, it continued. And then with Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, everything, it just continues. And another thing that sets the Zelda series apart from like Uncharted or any other franchise is each Zelda game, or most of the Zelda games on their own, look completely different from one another. Like Wind Waker has the cartoon art style. Twilight Princess had a realistic art style for the time. Skyward Sword looked like a painting. Breath of the Wild looks almost like an anime. So there's all of these different styles and stuff that, even though it's Link and Zelda, Ganondorf, all of the similar characters.
It's always finding a way to make itself fresh, even if it's using similar themes. It's interesting with Zelda because, for me, growing up, Ocarina of Time was like the Zelda for me. Like that's the one that I was like, whoa, like this is totally changing games for me. As far as like the adventure games go, Mario 64, I think was really the game that showed me what games can be from an open world sense and like it has all the hub worlds and all that. But for me, Zelda, outside of Ocarina of Time, was always a 2D franchise for me. I always thought of it, Oracle of Seasons and Ages for Game Boy, those were like two of my favorite Zeldas growing up. I remember when you beat both of them, you were able to link them together for the third ending where you actually fight Ganon. And I remember playing Link's Awakening for Game Boy and stealing the thing from the shop, and then you weren't allowed back in. And so that's an interesting thing about Zelda that doesn't really get brought up as much as you would think it would. That it's kind of got two different, I don't want to say universes because I don't even want to get into the continuity of Zelda. Maybe you can enlighten us on that because I can't. But it's cool because there's the 3D Zeldas and the 2D Zeldas, and the original, the Legend of Zelda for NES is kind of both of those types of games in one. And you can kind of see where they split off between where they were going with one and where with the other. And I thought that it was really potent when they showed that 2D Breath of the Wild concept art or whatever that was, the proof of concept or whatever. And it really is interesting how Zelda can be a 2D franchise or a 3D franchise, and it excels in both. So I like that about Zelda a lot.
And just a last note on that, it's interesting, not really from the franchise, but from the developer. We're talking about, Zelda redoing itself every time. And then Guerrilla coming from Killzone, going to Horizon, a different step for them. But
you were a big Killzone fan too. How did you feel when you heard Guerrilla Games taking your favorite shooter franchise of the PS3 era was going in a totally different like third person direction, robot dinosaurs, all that stuff?
You talking to me, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm blanking on what my original impressions of Horizon were. I'm pretty sure it was like, okay, this is cool, because I was disappointed by Shadowfall, so I'm like, what, they need a break.
Really?
Killzone Shadowfall.
Okay.
But
I thought Shadowfall kind of ran like butt.
Yeah. I would like to see another Killzone though in the future. As much as people want another Horizon, I want them to get back to Killzone and with the server shutting down. Yeah. But either way, the beginning of March was insane, and the rest of the March brought some disappointments.
Before we move on, real quick, I want to ask Jesse, for you, what was it like in January, February, kind of gearing up for the Switch launch? Because like Jeffrey said, there wasn't really too much coming out for Wii U. I don't remember what was going on with 3DS. I remember there was the impending Pokemon Gold and Silver. I don't know if that was after that. I think that was later in the year, right? That was like the summer. So what was kind of that gearing up for the Switch launch like for you?
For me, it was really stressful and a lot of work because my job is actually what I do on my YouTube channel. I'm lucky enough to where I am able to make enough from it to where it's my actual job. So with that, whenever a new piece of news comes out or a new trailer, whatever, for the Switch or Breath of the Wild, you want to have one of the first videos up talking about it but you also want to make it as informational as possible. Because if you just have the first video up and you don't really say anything interesting, people are just going to click off of it. So you want it to be as informational as possible while trying to hurry and get it up as fast as you can. That way you can get the views and the subscribers and everything that comes along with it. So every time there was a piece of news that would come out, it was just a race for me to be like, okay, how can I make a video about this? And where every week there was new stuff coming out, it was just harder and harder to decide like what news I should talk about and what news I shouldn't. So that's really what it was mostly like for me.
Yeah, that's really interesting for me because obviously, you know, me just coming from a fan perspective, I was just kind of like staying off the grid with Nintendo at the time. I was kind of like, let's just wait until March and kind of, you know, worrying about all the PlayStation games that were coming out, like with Nier Automata and Neo and all that stuff. And so it's interesting to hear, you know, that you are actually doing this for your job. And it's the polar opposite of me where I was kind of like, I'm going to chill on it. And you're like really busy with it. So that's really cool. I never even thought of that. So
I mean, did
cool.
February have a lot of announcements and stuff and information? I remember it being kind of...
there was a lot of interviews that came out. Like, it wasn't a Nintendo Direct or anything that big. It was just like some random magazine or website would just have a...
So you were like actually doing kind of journalism.
Yeah.
Kind of digging for stuff.
The bad parts were you wanted to stay as spoiler free as possible so you didn't ruin the game for yourself, but you still want to get as much information as possible. So there's a fine line to where it's like reading an interview or something, you may come across something that you necessarily didn't want to know. So
yeah. And what's interesting about that also, though, not on Zelda but on the Switch, they didn't specify the finale, the details of online until like the last week of February, right? Was it? I'm pretty sure.
I'm not really sure about that.
Well, because were there any online multiplayer games at launch, or was Platoon really the first big one?
Bomberman, and Fast
Bomberman.
RMX.
I don't know if Fast RMX is online. Is it?
Either way, Switch had a awesome year. Let's keep moving on. The rest of the March was kind of disappointing. Was both disappointing and exciting with Mass Effect Andromeda kind of crapping the bed.
We'll talk about that a lot more on our podcast.
Then Wirelands came out at the end of
and then
March.
a lot of surprises. Wildlands being much better than I thought it was going to be.
This year was so
Nier Automata, many people's game of the years.
Neo too.
Yep. Neo, yeah, that's February. But that was March, and we didn't see anything else on the Switch for like a couple weeks.
Mario Kart was April.
So that goes on. We see Mario Sports, Superstars on 3DS. Stardew Valley started coming to PS4. That was really cool.
I waited for the Switch version, which we'll get to.
Yeah. Then April, really, more games, but Persona 5 was April 3rd, a game that we love to see on Switch, but didn't come out. It's exclusive. Ukulele as well. That ended up coming to Switch, I think, right?
Yeah, just recently.
September or October, I think.
And the Batman.
The big one in April was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, right? That's
for
the
me,
day that
outside of Persona.
That's when I got my Switch. I went to the store. I'm like, oh, you guys have one. Let me get it.
Like in anticipation of Mario Kart.
Yeah, I just went in there just to see if they had them.
You have to remember, March, Switches were impossible to find.
Yep.
Were
you able to get it when it launched, Jesse?
There's actually a small story about how I got my Switch. I pre-ordered from Amazon, and it was like 2 days before it was supposed to ship. I went back and checked it, and it said that it would ship on March 3rd. It would ship out, which was supposed to be the day I was getting it. So I called and was like incredibly frantic and trying to get them to correct the situation.
Right, because that's money for you, really.
Yeah, and they ended up like giving me like a free 1 day shipping or whatever. That way it would get there on the day it was supposed to. So that was...
that's why I pre-ordered from GameStop and Amazon just to...
I've told my Switch purchase story a million times on our podcast, but the short version is I decided I wanted one last second on launch day. My best friend knew the manager at the local Best Buy, and he told her to let him know if they get any. She called him, said, "Hey, we just got one returned, unopened. Get down here right now." And then 10 minutes later, he said, "Hey, Venmo me $300."
Nice.
Yes, I mean, and then Puyo Puyo Tetris, I enjoyed on the 24th.
Oh, that did have online. That was Puyo Puyo Tetris is fun.
So yeah, between like the launch and the last week of April, we didn't see much on the Switch, and that's kind of where Persona and those other games came in. But now let's move on to May. PlayStation and Xbox are seeing Prey, Injustice 2, Farpoint was great. 3DS then got Fire Emblem Echoes. Disgaea 5 came out on Switch. Ultra Street Fighter 2 came out on Switch.
Oh, Fire Emblem. What was the iPhone one?
Heroes.
Fire
that came
Heroes,
out also.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, any comments on May, or should I keep moving?
Just a real question, just to backtrack. Oh, you go first, and then I'll ask. I have a question for you, but go first.
I was going to say Injustice is really the only game that kind of stands out for that month for me.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that were talking about a fighting game, which people normally don't do. So,
because that had a production quality that was really good. Like it looked.
It
beautiful.
stood out among the other fighters of the year.
Yeah.
So,
and then you had a question.
Yeah, for you, Jesse. Just to kind of circle back to Mario Kart 8 real quick. How do you feel about like the Wii U ports coming to Switch? Do you have a problem with it? Do you like it? Because I know there's the opinion. There's the people that are like, these games were stranded on Wii U, and then there's the other people that are saying, oh, Switch is just a Wii U port machine. So where do you kind of stand on that?
The way that I see it is, if these games weren't coming to the Switch, that were like just the ports from the Wii U, then it's like you're either going to get Zelda and then Mario Kingdom Battle with ARMS, or you're going to get Splatoon 2, which people said was more like the same thing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was, instead of an actual sequel. So you get the ports in addition to the new games. It's not like because you're getting the port, you're not getting this other game.
That's kind of where I stand on it too. I was happy to get Mario Kart 8 because, like I said, I sold my Wii U when I got my Switch, so I couldn't play Mario Kart anymore. So I was happy to have it on Switch. And surprisingly, I actually liked playing with the split Joy-Cons. My wife and I would play, and we only had the Joy-Cons that came with it at launch. I have the Pro Controller now that I just bought the other day, but I only had the Joy-Cons, and my wife and I were playing together with the split ones, and we actually really liked it. I thought it was going to be way clunkier than it ended up being.
Yeah, the thing about that is, as long as we're still getting, as long as it's for the first year or year and a half, I'm okay with it. I don't want to see like 3 years from now, Wii U port is going to be replacing a Switch version of that game. So like,
I mean, I want to see Wind Waker HD on Switch, but that's
personally, I would like to see not just Wii U ports, but 3DS ports as well, because games like A Link Between Worlds or the new Metroid Samus Returns would look great in HD on the Switch.
That Bravely Default, although we're getting Project Octopath, which is basically a spiritual successor to that. So
yeah, I mean, that was kind of a thing. I mean, we're even seeing it through now with Mario Party Top 100, but like in May, like we're still getting 3DS games while the Switch is out. But moving on to June, and speaking of fighters, we have Tekken 7 coming out, Wipeout Collection, Darksiders 1 remastered on the Wii U. Wii U still getting some love.
Definitive Edition?
The War Mastered.
Darksiders 2 is the Definitive. I hate trying to say that.
And so pretty much following a path of having one big game a month, March being Zelda, April being Mario Kart. I think May we had Minecraft, or I think May we might have missed it. But then every month after this, we had in June, we had ARMS, brand new IP for Nintendo. That was really cool. A lot of people love that. I don't know, are people still playing that? Are you still playing ARMS, Jesse?
Not really. I did a review of it. I was lucky enough to get the game a week or two early, and in my review, I basically end it with, ARMS would be a great game for $40. Yeah. I don't think it's worth the full price of $60, especially when it's going up against some of the other games that are on Switch now, like Doom or Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey. I can't imagine someone going in with $60 or $70 to spend and picking ARMS instead of these other games. So
now, compared to Splatoon 2, because I didn't play ARMS, but I did play Splatoon 2, is it kind of the same where, as far as the amount of content in it? Because I heard it was very light on content, but I feel like Splatoon 2 seems light, but then once you actually get into it, you're playing the same thing over and over again, and it feels, very full.
And they're both adding content with updates.
Yeah, Splatoon's always adding updates. It's crazy.
Yeah, Splatoon, with all of the updates that it's gotten now, there's a few things that make it different and stand out from the original. Like there's new modes and stuff. They've recently brought back a couple of the levels that were in the original for the Switch version. I guess some of the fan favorites. So it runs a little bit smoother. You don't need to have 2 screens to play it. So it's definitely enough to stand out as opposed to just being like a port, because there was a lot of people that said instead of a sequel, it felt more like a port that just had a few bonus stuff with it. So.
Moving on to the end of June, we had a Crash Bandicoot remake, which I still think is going to be ported over to other consoles.
I think I could see Xbox. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. This might be one of those ones where it's
Has
like it was
Activision
never
been making
confirmed it's
Switch games?
exclusive, and then it just never goes. I could see
Does
that.
Activision have anything on the Switch? Think about it. Let us
I
know.
don't know. There's no Call of Duty, and that's the biggest one.
Yeah,
No
they don't
Blizzard-
make a
no
lot
Blizzard
of games, by
games,
the
right?
way.
Diablo 3 would be so good on Switch, man.
Skylanders, they stopped making. So now moving on to July. This used to be a time that was void of games, but as you know from listening to PS Best Friends this whole year, we had a couple good games. Splatoon 2 came out.
My wife's favorite Switch game.
We kind of just talked about that. But then also interesting, we had back-to-back on the same day 3DS games because the new 2DS came out with Hey Pikmin and Miitopia. Those weren't the best, most well received. I played the demos for them. Jesse, thoughts on those? Were they good?
Yeah, I didn't really play either of them. Pikmin on the Wii U and the GameCube were fun whenever they first came out, but a 2D Pikmin, if I'm going to play a 2D platforming game, then I'll just play Mario or something.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Good point. Yeah, right. Odd game to make 2D. Doesn't really make sense to me. Moving on to August now, we had some bummers with Agents of Mayhem, but then some top-notch games with Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. We all love that here. Pretty sure it's on all of our top fives. Jesse, you jumped into that?
I played it a little bit. I think it's a great way to see how if Last of Us 2 comes out and then has DLC, this may be a hint at what to expect for that game. So I think it was a great look at what to expect for future games from Naughty Dog.
That's a good thought. It was the Naughty Dog kind of quote unquote B team showing that they can make a legit game too. So
Yeah.
it's really cool, and it's a good kind of entry point for people that haven't played other Uncharted games. Obviously, there's nods to major Uncharted events, but you can kind of play Lost Legacy without, having played 1 through 4 or Golden Abyss.
And then what came out literally a week later, Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle. A very interesting game. That has a very cool history in terms of leaked and how that came out. But I heavily enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'd put it on like a top 15 list of this year.
I thought it was funny that Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle was like the one leaked game everybody was saying wasn't a real leak because it just seemed too out there to believe. And then
People didn't want it originally when they heard the idea of it before we knew it was kind of an XCOM type game. People were like, "We don't
really
want this."
negative about it.
Yeah, and then it came out, and it totally caught everyone by surprise. I've been dabbling with it lately. I just recently picked it up.
I actually
really enjoy it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I thought it was really great. It's easy enough, the strategy wise, for little kids to play and not have to think too hard about it. But there's enough to it that you can really get in depth on the battle system and strategies. So it's a really great game for people who may not have played games like XCOM before. So.
Yeah, and I always
came
forget
out that
it's a
day, the
Ubisoft
XCOM
game
2
too.
the XCOM 2 expansion.
Yeah, I heard that was very good too. I didn't realize that's like a legit, like almost like an MMO sized expansion.
Yeah,
it's like a $50 expansion, so that's good on them.
And then, of course, that same day also, a lot of games came out that day. Everybody's Golf on the PlayStation 4 system, which I know Anthony just picked up. He's really enjoying that.
Yeah, with the longest intro ever. Oh, my goodness.
Really? Is it? That's such a turn off.
It's like that stereotypical Eastern, like, millions of amounts of text intro But it's like I just want to play some golf. Like I don't remember
Like,
Hot Shots
actually,
golf
that
being like
sucks.
that.
That's so.
But once you get past it, it's the newest. It's basically a new Hot Shots golf. So
my uncle actually
then,
just won. Who doesn't really play that much games? Won an Xbox One, the Forza bundle, Forza Horizon bundle, and he just
your uncle
put
work
it
for
up.
Nintendo?
No, he just set it up just to use it as a media thing. And then I'm like, oh wait, what you want it? Like, what you get with these? Like, some racing game. I'm like, oh, you have because he has a 8-year-old kid, I think. I'm like, oh, you should play the Hot Wheels thing. And then thinking in my head, wait a minute, there's a 2-hour tutorial. I don't think either of you guys are gonna want to play. He's like, oh, can I just skip it to get to the Hot Wheels? I'm like, no, you have to play the tutorial.
So, and then before we move on from August, the game that was supposed to come out in August and then got delayed was Shadow of War. And I feel like August would have been so perfect for that game. And then it got delayed. Got delayed to October, right?
Yeah.
And I think that buried that game. I think it came out, people enjoyed it, and then they moved on real quick because a lot of other big games came out immediately afterwards.
One game that you're missing from August is Hellblade. One of my top 5.
I'm missing all digital games, so shout out digital games. Is there any Switch digital games I might have missed? Big hitters?
Wasn't August Stardew Valley?
Yeah, probably.
Or was it later? When was Stardew Valley?
In August, you had Sonic Mania.
Oh yeah, that
Sonic Mania was really good.
I gotta look
so that's kind of like Switch's theme this year. They threw in a lot of smaller indie titles, but now we got like 3 big titles at the end of August. What time of the year it is? September. We got big hits like Knack 2.
Stop it.
And that's
huge game, dude. Huge game.
Stop.
That was a game that my little brother actually got excited to play. So
why not? I feel like like it.
It was better than the first one, all right? So.
Yeah.
Well, the first game was basically a tech demo.
And then Destiny 2, one of my favorite games.
Really good.
Talked for a lot of time on our podcast about Destiny 2. So if you have any questions or concerns about Destiny, check out the multiple times that Jeffrey has gone on rants, both the good and the bad of Destiny 2.
And then even more ports. Also, we had Rayman Legends coming out on Switch, which was I enjoyed it on the Wii U. I didn't pick it up on the Switch, of course, but
yeah, that was a game from Ubisoft that was originally supposed to be a Wii U exclusive, like Zombie U was, and then because it didn't sell well on the Wii U, they ended up selling it on the other consoles. So,
yep. Then for the rest, what do you got?
We're in September, right?
Yeah, September. We have.
So, go ahead.
The NBA games. Was that what you're gonna jump on?
I was gonna say the big one, in my opinion, third party, was FIFA. It hit FIFA 18, which was I got it when like a week after it released, and it was missing was the
on Switch.
The story.
It was missing the
Switch.
The journey, the gameplay good, and it ran really good. I was surprised that it ran really good.
It's FIFA on Switch. It runs really good. Like I was playing career mode the other day, and I like almost forgot I was playing it on Switch because like I'm so used to playing it on Xbox, and then I had like a Freudian slip where I pressed B thinking it was A because that's where A is on the Xbox controller, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like holding the Switch controller. So it runs great. It just doesn't have the journey, which I didn't care about anyways. That and the servers aren't really populated for
the online. Yeah, that's not.
They're not really populated.
If you're
because pro FIFA players are playing on other consoles, but I play career mode anyways.
Yeah, content-wise, it's very reminiscent of what was happening in the beginning of the Wii U's life, where they were getting these ports that were not the same as the console port.
Oh no, it's the same exact game. It just doesn't have the journey, but it has every other mode. It's fully featured.
Is it the same price?
Yeah,
it was $60. Yeah, I picked it up for $40, but yeah, I think it's $60.
But the difference, I think, is that the Switch has such a bigger install base from its better launch games compared to the Wii U. So hopefully EA will come back to the Switch. Also,
that's the other reason I picked up FIFA 18 is because we might not get a FIFA 19 on Switch.
You gotta support him. Also, what came out was Samus Returns, Metroid Samus Returns on the 3DS. A prime wink example of like when they're bringing like great games to the 3DS a little too late. When like I think you should be putting them somewhere else right now. But we've been asking for it forever, and we got it. Danganronpa 3 came out. on PlayStation platforms. And and this month's hot Switch game was Pokken Tournament DX, which was fun, which is a remake. So we had 2 of, like what I was saying before, every month has its own game. So 2 of them already remakes or ports. But Miguel, what do you have to say?
You're missing one for the Switch. They came out in September. Steam World Dig 2.
Oh,
that was September?
Yep, September 21st.
That's another one I just picked up from the holiday sale, and it's so fun.
Was that the release date or just the Switch release date?
The Switch release date.
Okay.
That's when it came to Switch.
But yeah, that game's really fun.
Yeah, I played the first one, really enjoyed it. We talked about it earlier.
And SteamWorld Heist is coming out next month.
The Ultimate Edition, yeah. Moving on to October now, rounding out to the end of the year, we got Forza 7 on Xbox. Still getting 3DS games no matter what, with Mario and Luigi, Superstar Saga, and a late-in game. That's not gonna die.
I'm gonna stop you there real quick. The one that you missed again for September, there was, I think, kind of big on the Switch, was Golf Story.
Oh yeah, I don't have digital games. You gotta jump in.
Yeah,
Golf Story was people love that.
So Stardew Valley was October because I remember Golf Story came out first, and I ended up I was going to get Golf Story, and then I was like, I gotta get Stardew.
Back to October, we had nice. A bunch of AAA titles: Middle-earth, Shadow Mordor, Evil Within 2 on PS4 and Xbox One, South Park: Fractured But Whole, Gran Turismo Sport, 2K18 coming to Switch a month late. Required a big patch. That's going to be a theme. Not
for
a patch,
NBA 2K18 or
yeah.
No, NBA. I thought NBA launched simultaneously.
No, not
WWE came
not
out
physical.
late.
Not physical. I think that's what it was. I think it launched the same time digital.
I could have swore it came out around the same time.
The physical's a different release date. But either way, we're starting to see a trend of having to put some of the game's data on the memory card, which isn't the greatest. But
yeah, wasn't there a thing earlier this week about obviously you would know, Jesse, with the
64 gigabyte cards coming out next year?
Yeah.
That's for the actual game cartridges themselves, not like a SD card.
Yeah, so the publishers could put bigger size games. But I hear they don't even want that. There's currently a 32 gigabyte cartridge that they could put games on, that they're not even doing that because it's just too expensive.
Yeah, the more memory the card has, the more the developers and publishers have to pay. So it makes sense for them to just it makes sense for them to just get like an 8 gigabyte card and then have whatever's left install on the actual hard drive for the SD card, which I think it was a couple of years ago, the new Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, the actual physical release for it just came with like the first level or something like that on the disc.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
So you would buy the game and you could play through the first level, and if you didn't have internet to download the rest of the game, that $60 purchase was just like one level. So
that sucks.
It's actual insanity. And then we had Fire Emblem Warriors on both the Switch and the new Nintendo 3DS. I don't know what the story behind that is and how that came to be. That, like, was it originally a 3DS game that they wanted to put on the Switch? Was it Switch first that they realized that they could be ported because it's probably using the Hyrule Warriors engine? I don't know.
I think it was just they had a lot of success with even the Wii U version of Hyrule Warriors did really well, and then they did the 3DS version of it later. And I think that trend of putting it on a home console that was more powerful and putting it on the 3DS, since they already had experience with both, they just went ahead and did it, which is what I wish Nintendo would have done with some of the other games like Metroid Samus Returns, is release it on the 3DS and then wait a month or two and release it on the Switch. I think that's what they did with Super Smash Bros. On the 3DS and Wii U, where they released the 3DS version and then later in the year the Wii U version. So
100% agree.
Yeah, I forgot they did that with Smash.
And then still somehow in the year 2017 we had a Wii game, Just Dance 2018.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
it always sells.
I think I read something that game had released on launch day for more consoles than any other game that's ever released, because they came to Wii U, Switch, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One. I think
it came to straight up like 2 full generations.
Yeah, that's wild.
And rounding out October, one of the most insane days in media, possibly.
Yes, this was probably the biggest game of the year, or day of the year, rather.
Mario Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Origins, and Wolfenstein 2.
Yeah.
So we all bought Mario. That was guaranteed we were going to get that. I got Wolfenstein 2 for review, and then I ended up getting Origins. But then you guys, Anthony rented the 2 other ones besides Mario.
So Mario's the clear winner out of the 3 of that, obviously. But all 3 games are excellent. Did you play either the other 2, Jesse? Because obviously you played Mario. So
I played a little bit of Origins. I thought about buying. The thing with Origins was I was planning on buying the Xbox One X. That way I could play it on a console, with it looking as best as it possibly could. But I ended up only playing a little bit of it on the PlayStation 4. But then with Wolfenstein 2, I think that game's also available for the Switch.
In February.
It will be available in a couple months. Yeah.
So I'm waiting on the Switch version to play through it.
Curious to see how it runs on Switch, because that game is pretty demanding game. That game, that's a tale of 2 halves for me. Which if you go back and listen to, I'm sure it's like episode 28-ish, where the first half of we recorded a podcast when I had played like the first half, and I was like, I don't know, it's kind of dragging. I don't really like some of the dialogue, and then I beat this I did the whole second half of the game like right after we recorded that day, and the next week I was like, yo, you need to play Wolfenstein 2. This game is awesome.
But yeah, Mario coming out in the end of October. A lot of people were kind of up in arms at the original January event, Switch event, that Mario wasn't coming at launch. And I mean, what do you guys think? If we had Zelda and Mario at launch, I think that would be too much.
It would have been too much.
Yeah, I think they would have killed each other.
Yeah. So good we had a big space.
I kind of speculated that it would have been the other way around, but like before, I was like, Mario will be at launch, and then they'll give us Zelda later, because there was rumors of production problems, all that stuff.
They had to do Zelda just because they delayed it so much.
Yeah, Zelda's supposed to be a Wii U game a while ago.
I think the GameCube may be the last time a Nintendo console released without having a Mario game on day one, which the GameCube had Luigi's Mansion, so
was
I'd be able to
Twilight Princess at launch for GameCube?
For the Wii.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was okay. I'm sorry. Was it?
No, the Wii never had a Mario game.
It was out on Wii and GameCube, is what I was.
Yeah,
thinking.
Breath of the Wild did the same thing that Twilight Princess did, to where
it launched on both.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. The Wii, not the GameCube.
Yeah, Twilight Princess. The Wii version came out a week before the GameCube version, so there was that.
I remember that, because I remember I had a Wii and my friend had a GameCube, and she's like, "Why do I have to wait?"
Yeah.
Then moving it. Yeah. Go.
Wait. So I got Mario and I played it in like 3 days. Just beat the story, I guess. And I just fucking...
Because people kept on saying, the ending, don't get that spoiled, so I had to get into it, you know?
And so I think me and Jeffrey, right, we just ran through it. I ran through it, and I told you guys that I couldn't stop smiling.
Yeah.
I was smiling through the whole game.
Yeah, especially New Donk City got me.
Dude,
level. That's probably the best level of the entire year.
Yeah.
I actually don't believe that I did the New Donk Festival level, because I didn't know that was coming, of course. I was surprised.
Okay.
On the F train. On an actual New Donk City train.
I don't want people to kill me in the comments, but I still haven't beat Mario Odyssey.
What?
Like beat the story, or just completed like 100%?
I've only made it like halfway through the game.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Why is that?
My little brother, he comes and stays with me on the weekends.
Okay.
So whenever the game came out, he was kind of addicted to it. So I would let him borrow my Switch, and then when he comes over on the weekends to where I have my Switch here with me, I'm usually working or doing family stuff and everything. So like I have a daughter, and like when she's around, I'm watching her and can't really play a game, which the Switch is great for, because if you do want to play something, you can just kind of like put it down, pick it up whenever you need to, as opposed to like having to turn on a TV and everything. So Switch is great for that, but I just haven't had the time to play through it all, but I really like it. What did surprise me though was It's the first game, which he's 8. It's the very first game that he's beat all by himself, which he's played through like Wind Waker and Breath of the Wild, but that was with help. With this, I'd let him borrow it when he went home on Sunday, and then when he came back the next Friday, I was like, "How far are you?" And he was like, "Oh, I beat it a few days ago." And I'm like, "He beat it before I did?"
Yeah, that's cool.
Something that game did for me, especially. It made me feel how I felt when I first started playing Mario and the NES, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It was just it's an amazing game overall. Yeah. It's just period.
The only thing I think they messed up on was there was in the first commercial they released for the Switch. It had the woman, like it was all Mexico themed, and she was playing the Switch. She looked out the window and seen her friends on the rooftop. She went over and she was playing Mario, and she handed the Joy-Con to her friend. So I assumed this is them hinting that this game's going to have multiplayer. Like maybe you can play as Mario. Or something? Yeah, and then second player can play as Luigi or someone. That's why she took off the Joy-Con so they could both play, and she was playing Mario. So I assumed it was going to be multiplayer. And then it turns out it does have multiplayer. It's just one person plays as a hat. So,
yeah, I never messed around with the Cappy co-op stuff. It was very weird. It's very weird that they added that. I feel like that was specifically geared more towards like really young children, like Dad's playing Mario, and oh hey, little
mess around with the hat.
Bobby,
Here you go.
Yeah.
But
it felt very like that to me.
On the bright side, it does give them an easy way to have a sequel, because anytime that they come out with a great game, they're like, how can they one up this? Easy way to do it is, hey, it's Mario, but now it's actually 2-player instead of just the 1-player. So I think that's a great way for them to.
Wouldn't that be like more? Wouldn't it be that more like DLC instead of a sequel?
Well, kind of like what they did with the new Super Luigi Bros. Or whatever. Remember when they did the Wii U? There was New Super Mario Brothers U, and then they re-released it with the Luigi levels. You think you're talking more something like that?
Well, I may have not have been clear, so I apologize for that. But I was meaning like whenever they come out with the second one, like Super Mario Odyssey 2 or whatever it's going to be called, a lot of people would think, well, the first one was so great, how do you one up that? So instead of just it's the same game but with different worlds or different levels, if they added multiplayer, it would be that extra thing for it to stand out. Like a lot of people really loved Breath of the Wild, but it didn't have the traditional dungeons, yet it won Game of the Year and everyone gave it a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. So they're asking, well, how could they make a Zelda game better than this? And it's make Breath of the Wild, but with a different world, and instead of shrines, give back the traditional themed dungeons that everybody wanted. So,
that'd be exciting. Next up, let's move into November. We had Call of Duty World War II, of course. Kind of sucks that it wasn't on Switch. Maybe next year's will be, just because last launch, console launch with the Wii U, there was
Black Ops 2 was on Wii U.
Black Ops 2 was on Wii U in 2012.
It's a bad game. They don't need it.
This was the month of the month of the loot box between Call of Duty and the next one.
What also came out was Sonic Forces on all 3 systems, which is not a bad game.
The game I was alluding to.
Not a bad game. Top 100 on 3DS. We talked about that. Why isn't on the Switch? Mario Party would be perfect on the Switch. This is missed insanely. Then we saw Doom 2016 on Switch, which people are saying is amazing. I haven't gotten my hands on it, but I played Doom 1. I played whatever, and that was awesome. Rounding out the year.
He's just going to not even bring up the game that I mentioned.
Well, it's
he's getting there.
I'm on release date order. Lumo came out to Switch. I don't even know what that is. Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 on all 3 platforms. I like seeing the 3 platforms. That should be the thing. We're seeing it.
Wait, that game's on Switch?
Marvel Heroes 2, yeah.
Okay.
It is
also on Switch, an odd surprise, LA Noire.
Heard it runs really well on Switch.
Random game to come out.
I don't think it really. I love LA Noire on the PS3, but I don't think it really fits itself to Switch, because it's more of you gotta set an hour and a half for one case, just because you have to remember all the things.
Well, I mean, it gives you a reason to use the Switch as a home console for the people
exactly.
that
Yeah, so
think it's more portable. So.
Do you guys think that, I'm sure you've talked about this, but with that being like Rockstar's first support on the Switch, do you think they will come out with a game like Grand Theft Auto 5 on the Switch? Because it wouldn't be able to run the PS4 PC versions, but there are the old gen versions that was on the PS3 that they could probably easily port over.
I could see ports of the older ones.
I can see the campaign mode coming, but I could see like GTA 5 without GTA Online coming.
It's so crazy. It's also, I mean, you never know with Rockstar, because why isn't Red Dead 2 on PC? Like the last game you did, GTA 5 was on PC. Like they haven't announced Red Dead 2 for PC, so I don't really know how they decide what games go where, but we'll see. Next up, 2 Skyrims, Tale of Two Cities.
Hold on, are we still in November?
Yeah, but December has nothing, so this is the end of pretty much.
Okay, I just want to make sure you didn't miss Star Wars, because Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the one I was talking about.
Give me a second.
It came out that late in the month?
Yeah, it did. That's why it was barely on sale.
I don't know why I thought it came out early. Maybe I'm getting the release dates confused with Call of Duty.
So Skyrim VR, Anthony, did you start playing it or no?
Yes, I've played both Skyrim VR and Skyrim for Switch, and both rule, and both should be Game of the Year.
Nice.
No.
But yeah, no, that's just really cool
kidding.
seeing.
One that you're missing that hit the Switch, it was Rocket League. Finally.
Yep.
Yeah.
It looks a little rough in portable mode, but it runs perfectly.
Okay.
Like as far as like it doesn't really drop any frames or anything.
Yeah, someone told me just last night actually that it runs at 60 frames in portable mode. Is that true?
Yeah, that's why the resolution's downgraded significantly in portable.
Yeah,
but I mean, I don't play it for that anyways, so I play it for the gameplay. And on it docked, it looks pretty close to, I think it's 900p or whatever it is. So.
We also saw Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and Minecraft on the DS. Come on, why aren't
Minecraft on
I mean,
DS
Minecraft is on Switch, but
sooner?
like, yeah, why didn't that come out sooner? But let's get to it. Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out on PS4, Xbox One.
Okay. With Star Wars Battlefront 2, not to interrupt you, but you guys mentioned loot crates earlier. Talking about all of the loot crate news, did you guys get any complaints from your fans? Because there was so much news coming out about it that every time we would mention it, that video would get half as many views as the others. And it's like, we're just talking about the news. We're not making it. So don't hate us.
The way we handled it was, I would kind of be like,
we did the Rumble.
Yeah, well, we actually had a separate episode, like a dedicated bonus episode for that argument. And so I don't know if maybe that kind of affected that in like a positive way. Like people weren't like you said, where they're like, oh, I don't want to listen to them complain about it. Even if you're just reporting on the news, they'll think of it as you talking about it. But I don't think we really talked about it that much. I think we brought it up when the whole first big thing came up, and then we all kind of were like, we'll report back on it, and then I played the game, and then I kind of gave my thoughts post playing the game, and then we kind of didn't really bring it up again after that.
We kind of stopped talking about, like, we said enough between, like, for the first 3 weeks of November.
Between that and Destiny, we talked through it, but we didn't.
And Shadow of War and Call of Duty. Because Shadow of War had the whole loot box thing too, and Miguel and I both we came to the conclusion you don't need to buy.
You don't need it.
And even Star Wars Battlefront 2, I have everything unlocked. And I never felt the need that I never felt like I had to spend.
But that wasn't the problem with that game, though.
It's because its progression system
originally
was based
it was the
around
whole,
it.
There's going to be other Darth Vaders killing me because I can't afford to get my Darth Vader, and they paid for it. And that wasn't. There was kind of there was a miscommunication with what the issue. There is an issue with Battlefront 2. Don't get me wrong. Huge issue with the progression in that game. Yeah. But it was being told as the wrong. Like they were saying they weren't saying what the real actual issue was. They were someone heard something from someone else who heard something from someone else, and they said it wrong, and then the whole internet blew up about it, and then a lot of people played the game like me, and I was like, I don't feel like I need to go buy stuff. Like loot boxes being in the game in the first place is my problem. I mean, but the fact that you can get them with in-game currency offsets it a little bit for me.
Yeah, I don't know if our audience thought we overkilled. How much we talked about it, but if you do, let us know, our audience. And then moving on to the end of the year, we saw Doom VFR. I just realized this, that Bethesda did the same thing with Skyrim and Doom, that they put it on Switch and put it on VR. At like the same time. That's pretty funny. And and rounding out the final big
I got
game
another one before
that we're talking about is and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on Switch, which is huge.
Great game.
Yeah.
I got another one that hit the Switch that you missed.
Hit me.
One of the best running games on the Switch.
Hot, nice, go.
WWE 2K18.
Oh no. Oh
yeah,
no.
So,
it's literally, it runs in slow motion.
Drastic opposite to FIFA's well-running.
Well, even NBA 2K runs good on Switch, I think.
It
I think
does,
it's specifically just WWE that runs bad.
That game is insane. I don't know how it runs that bad.
Yeah. And then when did Monster of the Deep Final Fantasy 15 come out? Because
that's
an awesome VR game. I don't care what anyone says. It's dope. Being able to just fish with Noctis. For me,
you
awesome.
could go actually outside and go fish.
But why would I do that when I can go to EOS and go fish with Noctis and Ignis?
Oh man!
Listen,
right,
man. Anyone that listens to my podcast, if you're listening on Jesse's channel and you like Final Fantasy 15, come hang out with me. And,
I can
I'll talk to you
imagine
about Final Fantasy 15.
The call whenever they were calling back the voice actors to come and do the VR, or not the VR, but the DLC, and they're just like, yeah, what's the story going to be about? What's the big monster? What are we going to do? And they're like, no, you're going to go fishing. And they're like, what?
So what's the story with the fishing? You're just gonna catch fish, you know.
Yeah.
You know what it is about the fishing VR game for me is that they took arguably one of the weakest parts of the main game and turned it into a full game. It's like, did anyone ask for this? I don't think so, but they made it fun, at least to me. So I'm happy about it.
Yeah. I wish they could have done that with Majora's Mask on the 3DS, where the original game didn't even have fishing, but then in the remake for the 3DS they added 2 separate fishing ponds, but it just wasn't fun. But with those
are
Final
added?
Fantasy
I never
15,
played the original Majora's, but I played the 3D.
Yeah, they Ocarina of Time had the original fishing pond, but then in Majora's Mask it didn't have one, but they added 2. So there's like 2 separate places to fish. And I thought it was odd because it didn't really go with the game. Like the world's ending in 3 days and you're going to go.
Right, like there was a reason it wasn't in the original version of the game.
Yeah. But with Final Fantasy, like I could go fish in that game. Like
it's so cool, man. I know I'm being a fanboy about it, but it's so fun.
We haven't noticed. We haven't noticed.
But just Final Fantasy 15 in general had great post-game support too. People forget that came out last year. It came out in 2016, and it had so much support throughout the year. They just released a patch where you can like switch between the 4 party members. Like, isn't it
coming to Switch in the mobile version? Or
I think they said it might come to Pocket. They didn't announce it, but they're like maybe.
Oh yeah, I think it was like the director was doing an interview with Twitch and was like, yeah, we're working on it with a console that rhymes with your name, which would be Switch and Twitch.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was like another interview a week or 2 later where he said that he was joking about that. But then there was another interview where he said they were working with the people who made Unreal Engine to try to bring a port of the actual game, but an Unreal Engine to the Switch, because that would be easier than porting their own original engine to the Switch. But then he came out and said that there were no plans. So he's been back and forth on it.
Yeah, I'm not going to count on it.
Talking about what's coming, that has been 2017. Pretty good. Just looking up
2017. One more thing real quick.
What do you got?
I'm surprised that you missed one of your favorite games that came out and that I would like to see on the Switch.
Bring it up.
I wonder why they haven't done it, but it's What Remains of Edith Finch. And
I was only looking at physical
and the second one, that it's just huge, and I wonder if the Switch would be able to run it. It's Fortnite.
Ooh, Fortnite on Switch would be really cool. That'd be interesting on Switch.
Also, there's a game.
That's a question about, I feel like, the network infrastructure.
Well, even just the PvE mode on Switch.
Also, talk about what I missed. I can't believe I've literally missed 2 of my top 5 games. Shovel Knight. I didn't buy it on Switch just because I owned it on like 3 other consoles, so I had to wait to play the Spectre of Torment DLC.
Same. I almost bought it on Switch because I didn't want to wait, but
I waited, played it on PS4. That is amazing. If you own a Switch or PS4, get that game. But any last thoughts on 2017? Because I just want to, I'll just say it quickly. And 2018 is looking pretty good itself. So far, just the beginning of the year, we're getting Shadow of the Colossus remake.
I can't wait for
Bayonetta
that.
2 on Switch, Wolfenstein on Switch, Payday 2 on Switch, Metal Gear Survive, Bravo Team, Ni no Kuni 2, God of War, Far Cry 5. 2018 is looking pretty hot compared to 2017.
A lot of PlayStation exclusives. Jesse, you were going to say something before. What were you going to say?
Yeah, with the 2017, I think it came out this month. There's a game called Blossom Tales. It's an indie game that is literally...
It's pretty much Zelda, right?
Yeah, it's A Link to the Past, but
Wait, what's the name?
Blossom Tales.
I might get that.
Yeah, like it looks just like A Link to the Past. It has like the hearts and then like the 2 weapon slots up in the corner. It's literally A Link to the Past on Switch.
Oh, and another game that came out for Switch that's similar to a different game, like an homage, is Don't Stop Sneaking. Came out. It's basically like an homage to Metal Gear Solid 1. It's got the big, blocky, pixelated characters and stuff.
Oh, I didn't even hear about that game.
It just came out.
When is Akami coming to PlayStation 4?
That came out
in December.
It
came out this month.
Yeah, because I thought that was worth mentioning. That came out originally.
How does that not come out on Switch? Wasn't that a GameCube game?
PS2. And then it went to the Wii.
Yeah,
it went to the Wii with the IGN watermark on the box.
I don't know why I thought it was on GameCube. But that'd be cool to get on Switch too. Yeah, so
2017, one hell of a year for both PlayStation and Nintendo. Nintendo did some weird stuff with the mixing up where games belong. They weren't sure if Mario Party belongs on a Switch or 3DS. Belongs on the Switch, that's for sure.
Yeah, so
a lot of digital games we definitely missed because I was only looking at retails.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below which digital games we missed.
Yeah, Jesse, what did you because obviously your channel is predominantly Nintendo, but you do play other stuff. Obviously, you're a gamer first, So, what do you think stood out on PlayStation?
On PlayStation, the only real game that I've been like going back to on the PlayStation is Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, my boy.
Really? Okay.
So, like, it was really good. Persona stands out as well.
That's the game that you're just gonna play forever because you can only like me. I only play it in like an hour to 2 hour chunks, so it's gonna last forever.
Yeah. Xbox. What was the name of it?
Because on Xbox you got
Cuphead,
the cartoony game. Yeah, there you go.
Cuphead, excellent game.
It's pretty much the bigger one in my opinion.
If
Other
Sony,
than PUBG, but
yeah, if Microsoft didn't lock down that exclusivity, I think that would be a perfect Switch game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It would look so nice on that screen.
I forgot it, but Destiny 2 on the PS4 is really good. That's a game that I go to if I just want to play for like 10 or 15 minutes. So,
what game, PlayStation game, would you have played more this year if it was on Switch?
Destiny or Final Fantasy.
Nice.
Like fair enough. I don't think they could possibly run on the Switch, but if they could, it would be amazing. So
my original dream for the Vita was like when it was announced, like, whoa, console quality games. I could play because that was when I was huge into Black Ops 1. Like I could play zombies on the go.
And then Black Ops Declassified came out and
Declassified
squashed all your
dreams.
Yeah, it's interesting coming from our perspective because we're Sony. Well, Jeffrey's always been a Nintendo guy. He thinks he likes PlayStation, but I'm kidding. But for me, like I'm a huge Vita guy. I just bought an import blue Vita because my other Vita, is not working anymore. But the Switch really, it's a portable console for me. I mean, I play it more on TV now that I have the Pro Controller, but it really is basically a Vita 2 for me, and I love it. I love that the eShop is finally getting filled out. I know it sounds silly. Miguel breaks my balls because I bought Skyrim 4 times, I think, at this point. But Skyrim on Switch is so... When I first started playing Skyrim on Switch, it was really... and even Zelda, I guess, would really be the first time where like you're playing consoles, like console quality games on something that's this thick. And so for me, the Switch is just so awesome. I think the Switch, looking back at 2017, Switch is probably the highlight of the year in a broad sense. But just the fact that we got a new Nintendo console. We don't think of Nintendo as, are they just gonna publish games now and stop making hardware? Are they gonna go to Xbox and PlayStation? We don't. That's all gone with the Switch. Like the Switch did that. So I think that's probably my biggest takeaway from 2017. Outside of like we got amazing games like Zelda and Horizon, all these games. But
I think to counter that, I mean, your most played game so far. We didn't even talk about Nintendo's iOS games with Fire Emblem Heroes and Animal Crossing Pocket Leaf.
I don't know if I'm gonna get all
Mario
all
Run
the
also at the end of last
New
year.
Year's events.
We should round up. Round up. That's not the word. The hell. I don't know what I'm thinking. That their iOS games are kind of serving as like advertisements for their Switch games. So
I did want to go back and play New Leaf while playing Pocket Camp. So, what do you think about the mobile games for Nintendo, Jesse?
I think they didn't do what people were expecting with the Mario Run game, but it's good enough, simple enough to where like he's constantly running. You just tap the button. So I thought that was a bit odd, but it's a way to make it stand out from other games where it's just an endless runner. And then with Animal Crossing, there's a lot of people that I've been talking to that really love it. And then they didn't really have too much to do with the Pokemon Go, but when people think Pokemon, they still think Nintendo. So
yeah, because that mostly was Niantic and Game Freak, right?
Yeah,
or the Pokemon company now.
And then Nintendo just released like a little toy or something that went with it that you could press and go into a thing to like get a Pokemon or something. I don't know. It was weird. It was like a little tracker thing. But so far, I think what could have helped them out is if, let's say in Mario Run, you play through it for like once you pass the hour mark of that game, it'll pop up and be like, oh, if you were enjoying Mario Run, maybe you would enjoy the real Super Mario Odyssey on the Nintendo Switch. Here's 10% off.
What I thought would have been cool, which was just a total missed opportunity, which they could even go back and do now, is you link it to your Nintendo account, like your My Nintendo account. Just give me an outfit. Like I beat World 1-5 or whatever for Super Mario Run. Oh, now I get an outfit that I can redeem in Super Mario Odyssey. And it's
it works the other way, where when Odyssey came out, there was Mario Run content, which was like...
But it wasn't a direct link. It was more like a special event type thing.
But it's same with the console games never even talk about the iOS games.
Well, yeah, so that's why I was saying I think it would have been the other way around. So.
Yeah, no,
I don't know. So, but yeah, overall, 2017, awesome year for games. I think we stand a house divided here, 2-2, on whether Horizon Zero Dawn or Legend of Zelda is game of the year.
I'm saying Zelda's
I would say
better than
play
Horizon.
both if you can.
I say Mario's game of the year for me.
Really? See, that's spoilers because next week is our game of the year talk.
I'm not going to bring up Mario.
True.
That's
that's a good point. Yeah. Forgot we're a PlayStation podcast for a second.
Honestly, I was thinking about my top 5. It's something like Mario, Zelda, PUBG, Lost Legacy, and What Remains.
That's such an interesting.
Actually, no, wait.
top 5,
did I not say Destiny? Take out Uncharted, Destiny.
No, you can't take that back, dude.
Okay, so we're gonna start wrapping up now. But Jesse, because we're gonna be doing our top games next week, but just off the top of your head, I mean, in no particular order, what would you say your top 5 games of this year were? You could do only Switch, you can do only PlayStation, you could do both, whatever you want. Or Xbox.
Breath of the Wild, Uncharted 4. That came out this year?
No,
that was 2016.
All right, because I played a lot of it this year. Okay, so Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Horizon, Destiny 2.
Really? Okay.
And
Miguel has a vendetta against Destiny 2.
Let's see here. What's worthy of the 5th spot? I would say either Mario Rabbids or...
Nice. Okay.
A lot of people's top games.
You know, they fixed the difficulty spike. Jesse, I don't know if you counted that when you played, but in World 2, there's one level that just ramps up and makes no sense why it's so hard. And then I read the patch notes recently, and it's like addresses in World 2, whatever, difficulty doesn't match the rest of the game. Like, oh, interesting. Because that was like the one complaint I had for the game. That's like, it makes no sense why it just gets insanely hard.
Yeah, but for the fifth game, I would say Mario Rabbids or Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Because with Xenoblade, I think it rivals any of the best RPGs on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or PC. And to think that it's just a Switch exclusive, which I didn't even know this. I thought it was just Xenoblade X and then Xenoblade 2. But when I was doing research for my review of Xenoblade 2, I found out that it's a part of the Xeno series,
Xenosaga,
which dates back all the way to like the PlayStation 2. So
yeah, there's too many in that series.
Yeah,
they're all unrelated. It's like Final Fantasy, but
yeah. This entire time, I just thought it was, it's Xenoblade, a Nintendo third-party exclusive or whatever. But no, it's like it dates back 10, 15 years or whatever.
So if you're ranking it that highly in RPGs, I think I might have to give it a shake then, because I've been eyeing it in the eShop, so I might have to give it a shot soon. So, all right, well, this is gonna wrap up our year in review. I know Jeffrey kind of trucked along, but I hope you enjoyed the bits of insight we were able to give.
Should I have gone slower for the 1 hour and 15?
Oh yeah, this is
episode?
I think this will end up being just the show for this week, and we'll just do a rigmarole. But yeah, so thanks again, Jesse. I'm really glad we were able to finally get something together. I know we tried making something happen a while ago, and then I think we all kind of had conflicting schedules. So glad we got it to happen. We'd love to have you back if you're ever willing. And maybe we could do something like this next year, at the end of the year.
Yeah, it was really fun to be a part of it. I like going on new podcasts just to like get the behind the scene experience on like how it all goes and like the structure of it and everything. So
yeah,
you want more behind the scenes? After this, I upload a couple files to Google Drive, then send the link to Anthony, and then say "good?" ? And he says, "I'll check tomorrow."
Well, that's exactly how it goes.
It's more of the behind the scenes, yeah.
Yeah, with my podcast, like it always comes down to like strange technical difficulties that I never seen coming, or like something during the process messes up. Like it wouldn't be an actual podcast if something didn't go wrong. So
we know all about that.
Yeah, learning from other people, it helps like my process.
Yeah, when we first started, we had all kinds of issues where I was recording the audio through OBS and then extracting the audio from a video file and then having to split the channel. It was terrible. So we can maybe once we're off air, maybe we can share some tips with each other for recording stuff. But so this is gonna wrap up our very special edition of PS Best Friends, episode 32. I guess this is just gonna be. Thanks again, Jesse McCarty, YouTube's GameOverJesse. Go check him out on YouTube. I'm gonna assume you have a custom URL because you have a whole lot of subscribers.
Yeah. Yesterday I just passed 50,000, so excited.
Nice, congrats, man.
Nice. I know you were hovering there past couple of days, so I was hoping you got there. So yeah, so go subscribe, get him to 100,000.
Yeah, that would be a miracle.
So you get there one day. We won't, but you will.
So we'll get to 100 maybe.
Yeah, so go check him out on YouTube. Also,
or if you're watching this video on his channel, go check us out on.
Yeah, everyone.
We don't have a custom URL, so just Google, search in the search bar PS Best Friends.
Yeah, so because I'm sure the people watching on your channel already knows where to find you guys on Facebook or Twitter, YouTube, whatever. But for the people on my channel, where could they find you guys on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, whatever else you guys do?
We have a Facebook group that we actually have a bunch of really dedicated hardcore fans, best friends, if you will. That contribute every week, give us questions and everything. So if anyone wants to join in there, just hop right in. It's facebook.com/groups/PSBestFriends, and we'll hook you right up. You can jump right in, join the conversation. We really
shout out
encourage
to some
conversation
awesome
there.
members: Jivesh, Jake, Nathaniel, Nathan, What up?
Yeah, and then Twitter is at PSBF Podcast. Miguel's really been kind of trying to get a lot more active on there. So if you want to follow us on there, so give us a follow on there. And if you have any, I mean, we have an email. I don't know why you would really want to email us, but if you want to email us for some reason, if you're not on Facebook, I know people that aren't on Facebook or Twitter, like former guest of the show and my coworker Henry. He's not on anything. So if you want to email us questions or anything of that matter, it's psbestfriendspod@gmail.com. And for our channel, where can people find you outside of YouTube?
Twitter, Facebook, everything /GameOverJesse. I got really lucky whenever it came to that.
And how you spell Jesse Fur?
JESSE. So yeah, and then I also have a Discord that has a lot of subscribers and Zelda fans in it. I think we're getting close to like 800 members on Discord, so excited about that as well. I've been trying to get like the Discord verified or whatever, where you partner with them, they send you like a custom jacket or something, and like it helps out your Discord a lot. And I've been trying to get that, but apparently I don't make the qualifications just yet.
Well, go join that if you're listening on our channel. Let's help get them there. We had a Discord channel for like a week, and then we're like, this isn't the route to go.
We had a Discord channel, but I don't know, it was one of you guys thought that's how you made a group chat, and we used it as a group chat for a minute. Or I don't know, because it was just us three.
I don't know.
Either way.
So thanks again for tuning in.
Thank you.
We're actually going to do Game Time next, so if you're listening on the audio version or on our YouTube channel, just keep listening, and that'll pop right on.